Just to start off, we're going to look at geometry first. Okay. So we're going to talk about how angles relate to each other, how we name angles, and then we're going to move to four-sided shapes, and then we're going to move to triangles, like I said, where we can use trigonometry to find some missing information. So to start off with, labeling angles. Okay? Well, you know an angle has two arms in it, and they meet at a common point, called the vertex. Okay? So this is your vertex, these are your arms. And usually there's arrows on the end. Now there's different ways to name angles. Usually what you're given is you're given the end of the arms as letters, and you're given the vertex as a letter. Okay? So to name it using letters, you can do it one of two ways. Start at one of the arms, use that letter, then the vertex letter, then the other end of the other, or the end of the other arm letter. So this could be angle DEF. It could, if you decided to start here, be angle FED. Could it be angle EDF? No, because that's a completely different angle that's not even drawn. Okay? So that's how we use three letters. Or another way is if there's only one angle here, okay, then we can just use the letter here. So in this case, we could call that angle E. Okay? But if you had something like this, say for example, and I added G, you can't call this angle E anymore. Why? Because there's two angles here. Which one is E? That's when you have to use the three letters. This is angle DEF. This one's angle FEG. Okay, some properties of angles, or rules. Complementary angles. If two angles are complementary, they add up to 90 degrees. Or we say one is the complement of the other. Without an I, this is not saying nice things about somebody. That's a compliment with an I. This is a compliment with an E. Okay. So are these two angles here in this example, AOB and BOC, are they complementary? Yes. Because they add to 90 degrees. Okay. Supplementary. Two angles, if they add to 180, they are called supplementary. One is a supplement of the other. So as another example, are these two angles, AOC, which is 120 degrees, and COB, which is 60 degrees, are they supplementary? Yes, because they add to 180. Now, to see relationships among angles, oftentimes this is done. Because when you do this, 8 angles are always formed. If you draw two parallel lines, okay, they never meet, run in the same direction. And if you draw a slanted line that goes through both of them, that slanted line is called a transversal. Whenever you draw two parallel lines and a slanted line that goes through them, 8 angles are always formed. And you can see the 8 angles. 4 here, when the transversal intersects this parallel line, and another 4 here. Okay. Now, you should be able to see a relationship between some of these angles. Like if I look at angle 3 and angle 4, how do you think they relate to each other? What do they look like? They look like they are, do they look like they add up to 90? Do they look like they add up to 180? Do they look equal? Look here. Here's angle 3. Right here. Here's angle 4. Yeah, they look the same. And in fact, they are the same. Okay? So whenever we have two angles like this, and it also looks like it forms an F pattern. This is like, think of this as an upside down flipped F. If it forms an F pattern, the two angles inside there will always be the same. And they have a special name. They're called corresponding angles. And they're always going to be equal. So here, it's kind of like an upside down F that's been flipped. Can you find another pair of angles in here that form an F pattern? What's that? This way? This way? Oh, this way. So what angles? Are you talking about this way or this way? That way. So you're talking about these ones. Well, I already did those. Give me another pair. Give me another pair. Like we already did that one, 1 and 2. 1 and, not 1 and 3. Come on, you guys. They form an F. Yeah. Look for an F. How about this? Maybe, but tell me, what angles? 6 and 4. We could have done this one. That's the one we did before. Angles 3 and 4 form an F. Can you see one more? There is one more. Look for a flipped F. Notice there's a right side up F here, and then there was an upside down F here, an upside down and flipped F there. There's one more. Can you see where it is? How about that one? It's an F. It's just flipped. It's not a 7. So other pairs of corresponding angles would be the proper F, 4 and 6. So angle 4 and angle 6 would be a pair. Another pair would be angle 3 and angle 4. And another pair would be angle 5 and angle 7. All of those form an F pattern, which means all those pairs are the same. erase that. So that's one that we can see. Here's another one. Opposite angles. Well, opposite angles, when you draw two lines that intersect each other, you always make 4 angles. Okay? So here, notice I've made angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, angle 4. Which pair looks the same? Look like they're the same measure. 1 and 2. And therefore, 3 and 4. But they're different than the other ones, right? So if they do that, they are called opposite angles because they're opposite to each other. Opposite angles are always equal. In a way, they form an X pattern. When you draw an X, you make 4 angles, 2 pairs of opposite angles. So, knowing what we've talked about angles so far, here's a diagram. So here's a sample question, something you could see. You're given one of the angles, tell me the other 3. Okay, why 65? Because they're opposite angles. So they're opposite angles. What about X or Z? What do you notice about 65 and X if you put them together?
What's counting?
Yeah, which is how many degrees?
30.
That's okay. Which is how many degrees?
32.5.
No, this angle and this angle will add up to, no,
180.
180, half a circle. That's okay, half a circle. And remember, 2 angles that add up to 180 are called supplementary. So X is 65, X, sorry, is 180 minus 65, which is 115, because of supplementary angles.
Z is also 1. Is that supposed to be a percent?
Oh, jeez. No, not at all. I wrote a percent sign instead of a degree sign. Stick it stats. And so, sorry, you said Z was? Yeah, because it's the same as X, because they, I should say, supplementary angles. Supplementary angles with 65 degrees. Opposite angles with X. Good.
Is that an X?
Yes.
Um,
Oh, angles.
okay.
That's my angle symbol. Instead of writing out the word. Okay. Going back to our 8 angles with parallel lines. Alternate angles. There's 2 types. Exterior or interior. So angles 1 and 2, notice they are kind of exterior to each other, right? Like one is facing down this way on the bottom 4 angles, and the other one is facing the alternate way on the top. So we would call them alternate exterior because they're kind of facing outside. Those 2 angles look like they are equal, supplementary. What do they look? 1 and 2. Do they look like they're the same? Yes, they do. They're equal. Interior means they're inside the parallel lines and they alternate to each other. In a way, they kind of form a Z pattern or a stretched out Z. Angles 3 and 4 look what? Do they look the same? Yeah, they're equal too. So really, when you encounter these situations, two things are going to happen. The angles are going to add up to 180, or they're going to be equal. Really, that's all it comes down to. Okay. So, yeah, let's do the last example. So everything that we just talked about angles. And really, you don't have to worry too much about explaining the reason why. Like, you don't have to come up with the phrase, but you do have to come up with the relationship. What's A? What would A be? What's the measure of A? Well, look at your diagram. Look at the angle that you're given. You're given that 120 degrees to the top right, on the top right, correct? They're opposite each other. So therefore, what's A? 120. Because it's an opposite angle to what the 120 that you're given. What's B? I mean, you guys, you can sort of eyeball it. Yeah, doesn't it look the same? So it's also 120. And actually, there's a bunch of reasons why. You could have said, well, angle B and the 120 form an upside down F. So they're corresponding angles. Sorry. They are F-shaped is, I want to make sure I did get corresponding right. Co-interior is what I was confusing with, but sorry. So they're corresponding angles. It's corresponding to it's a corresponding angle to 120 degrees. But there's another way we could have explained it. Aren't A and B the same because they're alternating? So that's another way you could have said it's 120. What about C? Yeah. And actually, there's a whole bunch of reasons why. Why is this 120? Because it's opposite this, so they're opposite angles. Why is this 120? Because it corresponds to A. They form an F pattern, so it's the same. Why is this 120? Because it's exterior angles with the 120. So there's a whole bunch of reasons. But in the end, it's 120 degrees. So really, in a question like this, all you need is one angle. And you can tell me the other 7. And really, like I said, don't focus so much on the phrases, the words. Just kind of look at the figure. So if I said this, I'm going to add an extra. I'm just going to give you this. You don't have to talk with that. These are parallel. And I'm going to give you one measure. And you should be able to tell me the other 7. That's 50 degrees. What's this? Well, this and 50?
Or,
No, they don't add up to 90. Don't they add up to half a circle? 30 degrees.
not.
What's this?
20. No, wait, no.
Come on.
Wait, wait.
Look, what does that look the same as?
50.
It looks the same as this one. You guys, why are you like looking for conspiracies and making this as hard as possible? Just, like, do you understand what I mean by eyeballing? What's this one? 130. Okay. This one.
Would that be also 130?
It's 130. So that's the one who's not even supposed to be doing this. What's this one?
And the means.
50. This one?
130.
30. This one?
30.
There you go.
Yay.
Yes. Okay. All right. Here's something that maybe you might see on a provincial exam. No, just relax. Because it's not that hard.
From math, the calculus, I'm scared.
It's not calculus. It's nowhere near calculus. Okay. I'm going to tell you that this is compared. And I'm going to tell you that this is 2x plus 10 degrees. Find the x. What can you tell me about these angles? They're the same. So the 2x plus 10 must equal 130. What's next? Solve.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was. Oh, so I thought it was. I was looking at. I'm 60. 60.
You guys, it's equation solve.
60.
Why are you looking at me like I know I got yes? Why are you looking at me like I'm from like a different planet? Because you're like a dog hearing a strange noise. Subtract 10 from both sides. 2x equals 120. Divide both sides by 2. X equals 60. So that could be something. That's not a big stretch, you guys. You can do that. Okay, that's
I
good.
will be doing that. I'll do it. The angles.